Anthony, I'd like to come back to you again. We talked about transmission, but with a lot of this environmentally beneficial electrification that'll be taking place, that's going to put significant load demands on the local distribution centers as well. And for Central Hudson and the other New York State utilities, what needs to be done in order to accommodate that?
Yeah, a lot of planning and a lot of cost. I think Gavin mentioned, depending on the utility, you could see 2x to 4x kind of build out of our current systems, and we're not sure exactly where that lands right now. But when you think about the amount of transportation, the amount of building and residential heating we're trying to move to the grid right now, it's unprecedented, right, in terms of electrifying everything. So for us, there's two components. There's a planning aspect and how long that takes to plan and forecast of when it comes on and how it comes on. And I think, too, what we're really concerned about is this affordability issue that's been raised a couple of times today. How much will it cost customers? I mean, the goals of the legislation are laudable. No one would argue with them. But the cost to achieve is something that I think we have to ask. We have to make sure we understand better. And what's too much for customers? At the end of the day, this all requires a lot of investment to make happen. We don't have the existing capacity we need right now today to electrify transportation and the building and residential heating sectors. It just doesn't exist. And so that's going to take a number of years to build out, and it's going to take many, many billions of dollars to do.
Well, can I just add one thing? One of the downfalls, I mentioned how the CLCPA limits technology, and it just picks out storage, wind, and solar. The other part of this law that is really a missed opportunity, there is no funding in this law. There was no identification about how to pay for any of this. So one of the biggest gaps in the plan, in my judgment, is sort of what Anthony said. What are ratepayers going to be willing to bear to implement this, especially when you talk about upstate New York being essentially carbon-free? Because we're really trying to address an issue that is probably from Westchester to New York City and Long Island. And the issues around what Ken mentioned about disadvantaged communities and EJ, they're real issues that are going to get addressed somehow. How you address them and keep the lights on and keep it affordable are really important.
Yeah. And Joe, and I'd just like to piggyback onto that too. We're always concerned in the utility industry about how it gets financed, and so many of these costs right now today are financed through the utility bill. But as Ken mentioned before, this has statewide impact on all industries, and is that the proper vehicle in order to fund this transition, right? Is the utility bill the right place to do it? We certainly think it's not, but we have to have that discussion because it's going to impact everyone.
Yeah, and one more, I guess two more factors we haven't touched on yet, but will come up. It's going to face this energy transition. It's facing almost every business now. Is supply chain? Are you going to be able to get material on a timely basis? And skilled labor, because particularly you just look at some aspects of this. Think of how many EV charging stations are going to be out there. Yeah. That up till now there is no industry to install and service those. It's growing, but that's going to take a huge number of skilled people, training to do that work. And we hear from our members all the time, the number one challenge we're hearing from businesses, New York, and I think it's got to be nationwide, is finding skilled people to fill jobs that are available today.